The relationship between technology, communications, and the automobile industry has become ever closer. And you need to see it no further than the example of this company. Brought us the assembly line, the Ford Motor Company of Dearborn, Michigan. Ford's chief executive, the new chief exec, says he wants to change how our cities work. Jim Hackett spoke exclusively to CNN in his first broadcast interview as chief exec. Until now, Ford has focused on getting autonomous cars on the road and doing so. And it's been creating safe, self-driving technology. To do that, you have to build trust in the technology that is embedded within the automobiles. And you have to create a viable business model, working with lift and delivery services like Postmates. Now, this year, the three parts come together, and Ford wants to end congestion, calling for shared networks of vehicles for all types of peoples and their businesses. It'll have a dramatic effect on our cities and on Ford's business model. Ford's chief executive is Jim Hackett. He told Samuel Burke the switchover, its connected cars, is coming sooner than we think.
I want to take you back in history. You know, the computer was never just about the computer. It also was about the networks and the software. In other words, the whole system that came around it. The vehicles are going to be the same way. So our opportunity is making these really smart vehicles and also the follow-on services that will be counter-cyclical, that won't die down in a recession.
So walk me through some of those services. Does that mean you're going to be installing Wi-Fi on stoplights so that they can talk to your cars? What does it mean exactly?
Well, an early example that we know is super popular is that the vehicle can find parking spaces. You know, you lose more fuel efficiency trying to find a parking place than you do just being stuck on a freeway. So the potential in the future is the parking spot is letting the vehicles know it's available. And they're communicating. In fact, there's no meter made in the future because technology is taking care of the time that you're in the spot if you have to pay for it.
So are you going to make those sensors and sell them to people, to cities?
Yeah, so the partnership here is that cities need our help in designing the relationship, the vehicle to those environments. The city will own a big part of the revenue, but they don't have some of the costs that they have today, so they enjoy a partnership with us for that reason. Ford would profit in a relationship like that.
So you've just announced a partnership among many partnerships with Qualcomm, for instance. So you're talking about cell signals with cars. So what's going to come out of that type of partnership? And is cell signal really the future for cars?
So the challenge in the design of the system in the past was your vehicle could only kind of see itself, and it was from the driver's perspective. So if you were in a traffic jam, you couldn't ask the cars 5 vehicles in front of you what was happening. In the future, very soon, the vehicles are a network, and they're communicating back and forth.
How soon?
Well, that's stuff that's coming with the announcement with Qualcomm. We're working on ideas as we speak. Things are being tested in markets. There's some regulatory endorsements that we need, but much sooner than you might think.
But do you see yourself becoming a company that makes a majority of its money or a plurality of its money from those type of services? Or do you think your core revenue will always be self-driving cars like the ones behind you?
Well, you know, I get up every day as a Mustang owner and get in that car and feel the power of that, the noise, the thrust. That's a passion for vehicles that Ford's always going to kind of lean towards. We love the fact that people love our vehicles. This other side, the fact that we now have this vehicle in a bigger system, promises for us that the vehicle's going to perform better because the system's smarter. And the opportunity for profit is outside now just the vehicle that we sold.
But more money from cars or more money from the kind of cloud around the cars?
Well, I think it's probably equal.
Yeah, 50-50.
Yeah. In all the projections we've done, one thing I've seen is that some people estimate this living street idea that we're announcing today could be over $10 trillion. And that's because the operating system in the cities for transportation gets so big.
It's interesting because your predecessor was a very successful guy. Many people liked him. They thought he was a good businessman. Do you feel that you were brought in after a rather short tenure from your predecessor to be the guy who makes Ford into a tech company? Is that a fair way to describe your entrance?
Yeah, Mark Fields had a lot of impact on me. He was an exceptionally great executive. He could execute really difficult things. I think what I bring is that in the industry I came from, it found itself where the technology had been feathered in, kind of just touching it. But eventually, the technology was driving the way work was done when I ran Steelcase. In the future, the technology in the transportation systems and the vehicles are going to be so closely matched that it becomes a new design problem. And that's where I have expertise, and I think why I was asked to be brought in.
So who becomes your biggest competitor then? Is it the tech companies? Is it a new tech car company like Tesla? Is that who you see as the main competition going forward?
Yeah, the way I think about competition, this is a great news moment, is we don't have to cede this future I'm describing to anybody, because everyone's only had a portion of the systems problem. The tech companies have had the communications protocols or the software. The car companies have had the vehicles, which, by the way, are really complex machines. A lot of tech companies that had announced they were going to make cars have backed out of it. So the challenge is the systems integration, and that's something that I think we have as big an opportunity as anyone.
When I look at the ecosystem right now of all the companies involved in self-driving cars, I see a lot of partnerships, a whole lot. I would even venture to call you guys promiscuous. Are you just trying to partner with everybody that you can right now? I mean, you're partnering with Domino's, for instance. Is it just say, hey, let's try and do as much as we can and see what sticks?
Well, the evolution of the object of the vehicle and the system that it works in means that you need lots of partnerships to buy in the open nature. This is actually an open system. Won't be owned by Ford. We've made early seed investments that are really special in this area to create the capability. But these partners, they want to profit and benefit from this new technology. I mean, this is unlike any time in history, Samuel, where this technology will change business models.
So you're talking about a business model. I see this car right behind you, which is in a partnership with Domino's Pizza. Are you partnering with them because you're worried that people won't be buying cars, individuals, and so it'll be a Domino's Pizza Ford car that goes around 24 hours a day? So those are the type of partnerships you need to build to replace an average Joe like me buying a car?
Well, when we went to Domino's, Patrick Doyle has really done a tremendous job with that company. It's really a tech company unto itself, not a pizza company. And we found this interesting fact. In the analog world, the pizza is in a vehicle being driven by people. And we know how big that number is. They're able to monitor that. And we said, what if we use robotic capability? What could we now bring to customers that we couldn't have before? The opportunities are really extraordinary. So Ford and Domino's have gone to the next stage of this, and they'll be making announcements in other markets of big ideas that we have together. We have these cool insights. You know, we found out that people really would rather get their pizza from the car rather than somebody hand it to them.
Even people who live in high-rise buildings or buildings with stairs?
Yeah, they found they would rather come down and not have to put their shoes on because they don't feel like, you know, that they're on, so to speak, with somebody they don't know. The vehicle they don't care about. They don't have to interact with it other than to say, give me my pizza.
And the same type of partnership in a way with Postmates, which is a delivery company. So again, is that you're trying to see just what's going around 24 hours a day instead of the human driver, the human client of yours, consumer?
Well, this question of why some of the partners, you know, might seem oblique is because you got to think about the nature of the way goods are moved today and how dependent they are on the capacity of a vehicle to get it where it needs to go. In fact, they sit in piles. If you're an object to be delivered, you sit in a pile waiting to be moved. That's the bane of their existence. It's called dwell time. In the future, these kinds of systems will move goods continuously. Really, they don't have to rest because the object of the robotic technology is to get the product fulfilled to its customers. So we have any kind of transaction now that involves logistics is a market opportunity for us as partners.